Hello and welcome to Etiquette Conversations with Efi and Shirley, where we redefine modern etiquette one conversation at a time. And this is Efi. With me is my co host.
Shirley Shalaby.
And today we welcome you and we are tackling a topic that many of us struggle with, but that's so vital to building relationships, which is mastering small talk and without awkwardness. Today's topic is so wonderful: the etiquette of small talk, mastering conversations without awkwardness. Now, small talk is often seen as something that is trivial, but in reality, it's actually a gateway to deeper, more meaningful connections. Whether you're at a networking event or dinner party, or even in a casual social setting, how you engage in small talk can set the tone for the rest of the interaction. In this episode, my veteran friend Shirley, we will delve into how to engage in small talk confidently to avoid the common awkward moments and turn even the briefest of conversations into something memorable. So, if you've ever felt nervous about these initial exchanges or found yourself in a loss for words, just stay tuned and we'll help you unlock the art of small talk. Here, I invite my friend, I've always told you, I call her the veteran. I invite her to talk to you about small talk.
Thank you, Effie, for this lovely introduction. And thank you, everybody, for joining us in our really another favorite subject of ours, which is handling small talks and handling conversations with people who could be perfectly strangers to us, but we are meeting them in networking events, in important events, at corporate events. So we need to make an effort to handle those small talks. There are many things, many elements, and many components that make that small talk successful. However, we all know that a first impression is very important, and when we are handling small talk with strangers or new people in a lovely setting, uh, how to produce that first impression. Uh, if we make it properly, we reach our destination, which is creating proper communication or successful communication, and we can continue. We start with the first impression that is proper, so the rest will be really, really easy. How do we do that? What are the components for the success of simple um, art of dialoguing in an art of conversing? First of all, we need to break the ice through first
Mm.
impression. Well, breaking the ice, I mean, how do we do that? Now, this is a lady that I don't know at all, and I know that I'm going to be talking with her for the coming 10 minutes. Would I start by giving her a compliment? These are all just examples. Giving a compliment: boy, I love your outfit. That color suits you very well. Is this the fashion now? I mean, all open ended questions to give her a chance to answer. And where did you buy it from? Do you think this is a good idea? I don't think so. I do not start or break the ice by selecting a very personal question and then waiting for the answer. Breaking the ice should be neutral questions, general questions, general knowledge that everybody heard about, and knowledge of the society that everybody knows about. So it's not controversial, it's not political, it's not religious, no religion, no politics, and no giving compliments from the very first minute. That's what I think. So, what kind of general subjects? I remember when I was giving my etiquette classes in the 90s, before the time of social media. I mean, my students used to make an effort. Many of them would be very nervous as to and apprehensive about going to a cocktail party where they need to network with a lot of confidence. And where do they get the topics? And they say, oh, we see all blank. We don't know what to say. I always suggest read the papers in the morning. I used to suggest read the papers in the morning, watch the news, go with a bagage of knowledge, go with a you know a parcel of knowledge. I mean, start from one subject to another. Nowadays, for our students and for everybody, knowledge is at our fingertips with social media. I mean, we see with YouTube, we read on Facebook, we are knowledgeable about all the world events and in this globalization in which we live. So let's suggest, how do I break the ice then, if it's not a compliment? What are the major events that happened, for instance, this week? I remember yesterday, or the 4th of March, there was the 97th Oscars Academy, right? And then they distributed the gifts to the rewards to the new actors and for the best movie and so on and so forth. That is a subject. Have you watched the Oscars? Open-ended question, and then pause. Pausing, remember, pausing is poise. Pausing is elegance. Give the lady a chance or the gentleman a chance to answer. And this will open subject. Have you watched the Oscars? Have you watched any of the latest movies? What did you think of the outfits of the actresses? How much did you watch of it? Now, because now it's on YouTube, and we can watch back and forth all the time. So definitely you get into that subject that opens a lot of doors, opens a lot of subjects. Right now, I've opened that, and I poised and I paused, and I gave them a chance to answer, and I build on their answer, so I could say very interesting. Always give a compliment to their words. Very interesting. I totally appreciate your point. And then build on it till you reach your destination of creating a lovely communication. Now, what are the components for the success of this kind of dialogue? First of all, the voice. We're going to elaborate on that. And secondly, like the vocal, and then the verbal, the selection of words, and of course, your body language. If we go back to the voice, you want to make sure that that person is listening to you and your voice is clear. So make sure you articulate very well. Make sure that voice is pleasant. So that is, of course, a bit of a smile and a bit of a grin, especially when you're listening to the lady talking from her end of the subject. And make sure you're not too fast, because mind you, when you talk too fast, that lady or that person will lose you at hello. So make sure you are, you take your breath and you talk and you give her a chance. And of course, when there is a smile, the voice is very pleasant. When you are smiling, your voice is pleasant and you are inviting her to smile back. So when you say, did you see Timothée Chalamet, that new actor? Have you watched the movie The Perfect Unknown? If she did not watch it, so this will give you a chance to say that it is the biography of a famous singer. Like this, you've opened an open dialogue that is also informative, and that is entertaining, and that is kind. Why do I say kind? It's elegant to be humble. It's very elegant to be kind, not to show off and not to monopolize the conversation, and not to show that you know more than her. Be very, very careful. Give her a chance to dialogue. Give her a chance to comment on what you say. Now we've covered the vocal. The verbal is the subject, and of course, the selection of words. It's nice to be funny with while starting conversations. It's nice to make fun of oneself. Oh, because I don't have a good memory, and I keep forgetting things like that. To analyze oneself and to be humble, that is opening doors for friendship, not just as an interesting dialogue, and that makes people love each others. Remember, we live in a world of copies. We live in a world of trends. So be authentic. That would be just lovely. Again, what helps with all that is your body language. If you were standing up, stand with pride. With the basic stance, as we talked once before about it, very important, as if you were pulled by a string, chin parallel to the floor, eye contact towards the person, especially when you are listening. Listen with an eye contact more than when you are talking. And of course, the head is tilted towards that person. So that is a friendly body language. Something else. We've covered the vocal, we've covered the voice, and the subjects that are far away from controversial subjects, and the body language, and the rest is history. It is success of a contact. Many people still find it hard to start a small talk and start conversations, and they want to be listeners or they want to be followers. My advice is take acting classes. Take acting classes, and then they repeat. There is lots of role play and a lot of exercises that for your vocal cord, and you'll be able to improve. Also, reading a lot, reading and practicing. I hate to say a secret really out loud, but when I started my career many years ago, I used to practice in front of the mirror, and I used to love it. And so you work hard until you reach what you want, but it's a simple formula, and that to create a dynamic dialogue between people that really don't know each other's. Thank you, Effie. Do you have something else to add?
Yes, I would want to. I have a couple of things to say, Shirley. I want to
Yeah.
start with the etiquette of small talk.
Ah.
Like you've said, the way we begin a conversation can actually set the entire tone. Now, a well mannered introduction ensures that the interaction starts on the right foot. And I'll touch on key etiquette points when initiating small talk, like you have said. You want to
Mm-hmm.
offer a friendly greeting. Now, you can begin with
Mm-hmm.
a warm yet respectful greeting. This could be something as simple as good evening, good morning, or how do you do, depending on the formality of the setting. In a more
Absolutely.
casual setting, you could say hello. It's nice to meet you. That's sufficient. You want to gauge the setting as well. The context of the event really matters. At a formal dinner, a more polite and reserved approach would be necessary. While at a networking event, it may allow for a lighter and more open greeting. Also, you want to be attentive to nonverbal cues, like you've said earlier. And nonverbal communication, as we know, it plays an integral part in starting small talk. You want to smile, you want to make appropriate eye contact, and adopt an open body language. These are the little etiquettes, these simple gestures that you are engaged. It shows that you are approachable, and you want to compliment with caution. When offering compliments, you want to focus on neutral, non personal aspects, such as an event or a shared environment. The venue is lovely, it's something you can say, or it's such a beautiful day. It works better than commenting directly on someone's appearance. In small talk, it's
Mm-hmm.
essential to avoid creating discomfort or seeming overtly personal. Now, there are key etiquette principles that our guests must consider during small talk. Remember that small talk is about connecting without dominating the conversation. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that one person will have to go on. So, open ended questions are something like you mentioned earlier to encourage a dialogue. It's a dialogue, it's small talk, it's between two people. So, if you use open ended questions, that would help. Something like, how did you become involved in this project? That gives the person the opportunity to respond. Or you could say, what brought you here today? It gives the person an opportunity to respond. You also want to balance the conversation. These are the principles. While small talk is an opportunity to introduce yourself, it should not be self centered. Ensure there is balance in listening actively and showing interest in the other person's responses. Take turns in speaking. You mentioned earlier you want to align your body and you want to respond to the person's gestures as well. You want to practice active listening.
I can end
It is one of the
with friendship.
highest points of politeness. Maintaining eye contact, you nod in acknowledgement, you refrain from interrupting, you let the person know that you are listening, you encourage the talk, you could do things that there are things that encourage active listening. These actions demonstrate respect for the other person's thoughts and it creates a flow of conversation that feels comfortable and genuine. Again, you want to avoid
Mm-hmm.
overly personal and controversial topics. Now, the essence of small talk etiquette is to steer clear of subjects that might create discomfort. So, the things that we want to refrain from during small talk, there are things like
Mm-hmm.
religion, there are things like
Mm.
politics. There are things like
Absolutely.
personal finances. Unless the other person opens the door, you want to keep things light and avoid pushing boundaries. Even if those doors are open, avoid pushing boundaries. Conversation should remain neutral, inviting, and respectful of personal spaces. Next is be mindful
Mm-hmm.
of your tone and your body language. And I think you handled that very well, Shirley. The tone of your voice and your posture can speak volumes. You want to speak in a pleasant and neutral tone. You want to use a pleasant voice. You want to avoid raised voices or overtly animated expressions. You want to keep your body open. And I remember you talking about the posture. You really said it very well. You want to avoid crossing arms, like I said in one other of our episodes. Yes, while crossing of arms is close body language sometimes, um, when practicing active listening, it can be a powerful body language. When you cross your arms and lean forward, that could be a powerful body language to say, I'm listening. I'm coming forward to hear you more. So and while doing this, you want to be mindful of personal space. Gestures like maintaining eye contact and occasionally smiling can go a long way in handling our interactions and making them very pleasant. Shirley, I would want you to, at this time, speak to our audience about how to handle awkward silences with grace. If we
How to handle
awkward silences, when there's silence in
awkward.
small talk, how do you handle it?
Oh, very good. Before I get into that, there is a point of something that I notice a lot and I observe, and I forgot to mention. Many people have this habit without noticing. When they talk, they have the hand on the
Mm,
face, like hide the mouth, and they don't mean
mm,
anything. It's just a bad
mm,
habit. This is really recommended, so we don't need a barrier between the person that talks and the person that
mm,
listens. Of course, it diverts the dialogue into a struggle,
mm,
you know. So a case of silence in between. I think silence, as I said, pausing is good. But what I said earlier, pausing to give that other person a chance to talk and then build on the
mm,
reply. But a silence between one subject and another, well, it's your duty. To think of something else. You can start commenting on the food we're eating or on the event, or have you seen this again into general? Because, mind you, these people, you have no link with them, there is no friendship, no history with them. So again, you help yourself with general subjects one after the other, and always in a courteous manner, and always respect that other person's boundary, like not to touch that person and not to come close to him, not to raise your voice, and not to really introduce a subject that is all of the above, political or religious or anything. So, indeed, silence is respected, and you can break the silence with another general subject and stick to your rules until you create that nature. This is the life experience that
mm.
everybody needs.
Wow.
I think the young
Wow.
people.
Thank you so much, Shirley. Just to add to what you have said, you know, at times small talk can lull into silence, as you answered, and many people find this very uncomfortable. However, I believe that silence doesn't need to be awkward if handled with tact.
No,
And I want to say,
nothing.
firstly, you be willing to embrace neutral pauses rather than rushing to fill every gap with words. Recognize that
Yes,
natural
that.
pauses are a part of a conversation. A moment of silence
Mhm.
can provide both parties with an opportunity to reflect or think of new ideas and what the other person has said. Also, I think that you can offer a graceful transition. If the conversation begins to lose momentum, it's appropriate to smoothly steer it to a new direction. You might say something like, I've been meaning to ask you, how did you get
Mm,
involved in this project? Or you could say something like,
lovely.
this is a lovely event. Have you attended it before? So, a subtle shift in focus can reinvigorate the dialogue. Again, another way that I think and I believe that we can deal with silences is to show appreciation for the silence. And that would be if you sense the conversation has reached its natural conclusions, acknowledge the pause with gratitude, saying something like, I've enjoyed our conversation. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. That allows for a polite exit without awkwardness. And again, I'm going to come back to you, Shirley, and ask you. So, what's the etiquette of ending small talk?
Oh, it's always nice depending on where you are. If it's a networking party and both of you are in the same profession, like they are bankers, both are image advisors, or of course, exchanging cards is an amazing way. Without imposing, you present and there is a beautiful way of presenting my own card, so the other person would present his or her card, and so it opens doors for further contacts. This is nice. And of course, I really enjoyed our dialogue. Again, commenting on the dialogue is also very good, and with a smile. And of course, a closing sentence like that is a comment on the dialogue we
Mm,
had. For instance, you had a dialogue and the other person mentioned her son or her daughter. So, of course, a closing word about what we have mentioned to show that you have are focused on the subject, that you have enjoyed the
Mm.
subject. So this is a positive
Right.
ending, not just bye bye.
Yes, not bye bye at all. And
Bye bye.
to add to what you have said, ending small talk gracefully is as important as starting it well. You can start something well and finish poorly, and we don't want to finish poorly. So, a thoughtful exit leaves
Mhm,
a positive and lasting impression. So, I want to say there's an etiquette for it again,
mhm.
like Shirley has said. You should use polite closing statements. When wrapping up conversations, make sure to
Mm.
acknowledge the time and the input of the other person. It's so lovely speaking with you. Thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
thought. It's been a pleasure, a proper way
Mhm.
to end on a
Absolutely.
positive note. Another
To
thing,
acknowledge and to say,
go on, Shirley. Um, Go on, Shirley. You were saying something. Hello, Shirley. Um, so you can also offer future engagements. If the conversation has gone well, consider offering a potential follow up. I'd love to continue our chat sometime, perhaps over coffee if you please. It would be wonderful to stay in touch. Our ways of expressing interest in connecting again. And Shirley has said here that this is when you hand your
and
card to the other person. You can
yeah,
also,
very civilized way of
mhm,
ending a dialogue.
yes. hmm
Absolutely.
And then you can also be gracious, even if the conversation wasn't perfect. And you remember, etiquette is about grace. And today we said it's graceful conversations as well. So not every small talk exchange
Yes, of
will
course.
be deeply meaningful. And that's okay. Whether the conversation was brief or uneventful, remain courteous. Remember, etiquette is about being courteous. Simply saying it was great meeting you shows that you value the interaction, no matter how it went. And Shirley, I'd want to ask you to talk to us about the etiquette of cultural sensitivity in small talk. How do we apply cultural sensitivity in small
Absolutely.
talk?
Well, of course, because we did not mention that the person we are meeting and having to conduct small talk with her happens to be from another part of the world with a different culture, different language. So there is the language barrier, and we try to find a common language that people could talk. So we have to talk slowly, articulate very well, and make sure we use simple words if we see that the other person has got challenges with the language. And of course, respect. Think of the culture. Could it be Middle Eastern? Could it be from Iran? Could it be from Iraq? Could it be from the Far East? Or could it be from Latin America? Of course, do respect that in your dialogue, respect the cultural difference, and that makes it very interesting. That makes life very colorful, and that makes our globe inclusive, all of it together. I find it very interesting, and people should think that this is an experience talking with someone coming from a different culture. So this opens subjects of conversations. I mean, you could say, how do you celebrate this occasion in your
Mhm.
country? Whatever occasion that you would have mentioned. How is it the decorum of corporate relationship? I mean, you could open subjects, a lot of
Wow.
subjects, and wait for the answer, pause, and give that person a chance to talk about her culture and her experience. That is lovely. Oh, that's really opening another chapter. So it's
Mm.
really nice. Always respect, always with a smile, always showing that one is curious to know and interested to know.
Wow. Thank you, Shirley. And I will touch on the etiquette of that cultural sensitivity in small talk. Now, when engaging in small talk with people from diverse backgrounds, being culturally sensitive is important.
Yeah,
And I remember that our last two episodes, we talked about it very well. Now, in some cultures, small talk is seen as an essential form of building rapport,
culture,
while in others, it may be viewed as unnecessary. So, you want to be mindful of these nuances and approach the
cultural
conversation
difference,
with openness and respect for different communication styles. So, you have to avoid assumptions that everyone shares the same interests or conversational habits. Respect individual preferences and avoid making assumptions about the other person's experiences or background. That would show that you know the etiquette of small talk. We have lost Shirley here briefly, and if she doesn't come back before we continue, and we're already concluding, thank you for tuning into this conversation of etiquette conversations with Efi and Shirley, where we redefine modern etiquette one conversation at a time. Remember, today we talked about the etiquette of small talk, how to master the silences without being awkward. Whether you're preparing for a networking event or for a dinner or meeting new acquaintances or simply navigating your next social gathering, remember that small talk is a tool. If you use it well, it would open doors to deeper connections. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to Etiquette Conversations with Afi and Shirley on YouTube Live, where we come to you very often and leave a comment. Would love to hear about your small talk experiences, what challenges you have faced, and what tips would work best for you. Until next time, same time next week, where we discuss another exciting topic, which is the essential etiquette of social gathering, best practices, common missteps, and mistakes. Keep engaging confidently and graciously in every conversation. Stay connected, stay present, and most importantly, stay authentic. Thank you from Efi and Shirley. Goodbye.